In the 1960s and 70s, American children knew which penny candies mattered. Their pennies at the corner store didn't just buy sugar. They bought 60 varieties of special candies that have been lost to time. These forgotten penny candies carried families through childhood, brought and created memories that lasted forever. Let's rediscover these forgotten candies and snacks that defined American childhood. Tootsie Rolls became the most popular penny candy in American history because 1 cent bought a chewy chocolate treat that lasted longer than hard candy and never melted in summer heat. Kids walked into corner stores every Saturday morning with pennies clutched in their hands. They pointed at the glass jar filled with small brown candies wrapped in paper. The store owner scooped Tootsie Rolls into a paper bag and handed them over. 1 penny bought 1 piece. 5 pennies bought 5. Kids unwrapped the wax paper immediately. They bit into the chocolate-flavored taffy. It stretched and chewed. The chocolatey taste filled their mouths. 1 Tootsie Roll lasted 10 minutes of chewing. Kids ate them walking home from school. They shared them with friends on the playground. They saved them in their pockets for later. Adults remember Tootsie Rolls as the candy they bought most often because 1 penny always bought happiness that fit perfectly in a child's hand. Bazooka Bubblegum became the penny candy kids fought over because each pink square came with a tiny comic strip and cost just 1 cent. Kids lined up at the candy counter pointing at the box of Bazooka. The store owner handed them a wrapped piece. Kids paid their penny. They tore open the wrapper before they even left the store. Inside was a small Bazooka Joe comic printed on waxy paper. Kids read the joke first. They laughed at the corny punchline. Then they unwrapped the hard pink square of gum. They popped it into their mouths. They chewed hard. The gum softened. The flavor burst, sweet and fruity. Kids chewed until the gum was soft enough. Then they blew bubbles. Big pink bubbles stretched from their lips. The bubbles popped. Gum stuck to their faces. Kids laughed. Adults remember Bazooka Gum as the best penny candy because it came with entertainment and gave them something to do all afternoon. Before we move on, many of you asked in the comments where to find these recipes. We even received tons of email, too, so we published these recipes on our website. The link is in the description. Let's continue. Sugar Daddy became the candy kids saved their nickels for because it cost 5 cents, but lasted for hours of sticky. Sweet satisfaction. Kids walked to the store with a precious nickel. They asked for Sugar Daddy. The store owner handed them the long caramel pop wrapped in cellophane. Kids unwrapped it immediately. They licked the thick caramel lollipop. It was hard at first. As they licked, the caramel softened. It became chewy and sticky. It stuck to their teeth. It pulled on their fillings. Kids didn't care. The caramel flavor was rich and sweet. 1 Sugar Daddy lasted an entire afternoon. Kids walked home from school slowly licking it. They sat on the porch steps with it. They watched television with Sugar Daddy stuck in their mouths. Adults remember Sugar Daddy as the candy that tested their patience and their teeth. 5 cents bought hours of enjoyment and a trip to the dentist if they weren't careful. Before we continue, Sugar Babies became the bite-sized version of Sugar Daddy that kids bought for just 2 cents at the movie theater. Kids handed their coins to the candy counter girl. She gave them a small yellow box that rattled when shaken. Kids opened the box before the movie started. They poured a few Sugar Babies into their hands. The small caramel pieces were dark brown and smooth. Kids popped them into their mouths. The caramel was chewy and sweet. It stuck to their teeth just like Sugar Daddy. But these were smaller. Kids could chew several at once. They ate Sugar Babies slowly during the cartoons. They saved some for the main feature. One box lasted through the entire movie. Adults remember sugar babies as the perfect theater candy. 2 cents bought a box that kept their mouths busy. They remember digging caramel out of their molars with their tongues while the credits rolled. Mary Jane's became the peanut butter penny candy kids either loved or avoided because the chewy molasses taffy stuck to teeth and lasted forever. Kids handed 1 penny to the store owner. He gave them a small rectangular candy wrapped in yellow and red wax paper. Kids unwrapped it. They popped the Mary Jane into their mouths. They bit down. The taffy was incredibly chewy. It stuck to every tooth. Kids chewed and chewed. Their jaws got tired. The peanut butter and molasses flavor was sweet and salty. It tasted old-fashioned. Kids who loved peanut butter bought Mary Jane's by the handful. 5 pennies bought 5 pieces of dedication. Kids who had braces avoided Mary Jane's completely. The taffy pulled brackets right off teeth. Adults remember Mary Jane's as the candy that required commitment. You had to really want it. 1 penny bought 10 minutes of jaw exercise and sticky teeth that tasted like peanut butter all afternoon. 5-penny candies that defined American childhoods. Tootsie Rolls for 1 cent. Bazooka Gum with comics. Sugar Daddy that lasted hours. Sugar Babies for movie theaters. Mary Jane's that stuck to teeth. Every piece cost pennies. Every piece created memories that still taste sweet today. Atomic fireballs became the penny candy kids dared each other to eat because the cinnamon flavor burned like fire and proved who was tough. Kids gathered outside the candy store. One kid handed over a penny. The store owner gave him a bright red Jawbreaker. The kid held it up. His friends watched. He popped the atomic fireball into his mouth. His eyes widened immediately. The cinnamon burned. His mouth felt like it was on fire. His eyes watered, but he refused to spit it out. Spitting meant losing. He sucked on the burning candy. The outer layer slowly dissolved. The flavor intensified. His friends timed him. After 5 minutes, the burn faded. The center was sweet. The kid smiled. He won. Adults remember atomic fireballs as the candy that separated brave kids from scared ones. 1 penny bought bragging rights on the playground and a mouth that burned for 10 minutes straight. Wax lips became the penny candy kids wore before they chewed because the bright red wax shaped like giant lips fit over their mouths and made everyone laugh. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents at the candy counter. The store owner handed them a pair of oversized red wax lips. Kids opened the package immediately. They pressed the wax lips over their own mouths. The wax was soft and flexible. It stuck to their lips. Kids smiled. Their friends laughed. The giant red lips looked ridiculous. Kids made funny faces. They pretended to kiss each other. Everyone giggled. After 5 minutes of wearing them, kids started chewing the wax. It had a faint, sweet flavor. The texture was rubbery and weird. Kids chewed it like gum for a few minutes. Then they threw it away. Adults remember wax lips as the silliest candy. You didn't buy them for taste. You bought them to be funny and make your friends laugh. Candy cigarettes became the penny candy kids bought to pretend they were grown-ups, smoking just like their parents and movie stars. Kids handed 2 to 5 cents to the store owner. He gave them a small pack that looked exactly like real cigarettes, white candy sticks, red or pink tips, printed paper wrapper. Kids opened the pack carefully. They pulled out 1 candy cigarette. They put it between their lips. They pretended to smoke. They held it like their fathers held real cigarettes. On cold winter days, their breath made white puffs. It looked like real smoke. Kids thought they looked cool. They walked around pretending to be adults. The candy tasted chalky and sweet. Kids ate them slowly. They pretended to tap ash off the end. Adults remember candy cigarettes as innocent fun from a different era. Nobody thought it was wrong. Kids just wanted to act grown up for a few minutes. Root beer barrels became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted their favorite soda flavor in candy form that lasted longer than any drink. Kids walked up to the candy counter with a penny in hand. They pointed at the jar of barrel-shaped hard candies wrapped in clear cellophane. The store owner dropped one into their palm. Kids unwrapped it immediately. They popped the hard candy into their mouths. They sucked on it slowly. The root beer flavor exploded. Sweet and slightly spicy, just like real root beer soda. The candy lasted 15 minutes. Kids bought several root beer barrels and kept them in their pockets. They sucked on them during school recess. They saved one for the walk home. They shared them with friends who forgot their penny. Adults remember root beer barrels as the candy that tasted exactly like their favorite soda. 1 penny bought the flavor without the fizz and without the sticky bottle. Bit-O-Honey became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted honey-flavored taffy with tiny almond bits that didn't torture their teeth like other chewy candies. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents at the candy counter. The store owner handed them a small rectangular bar wrapped in yellow paper with a bee printed on it. Kids unwrapped it. They bit into the taffy. The honey flavor was sweet and rich. Tiny pieces of almond added crunch. Bit-O-Honey was chewy, but not too sticky. It didn't glue teeth together like Mary Jane's. Kids could chew it comfortably. 1 piece lasted several minutes. The honey and almond flavors blended perfectly. Kids ate Bit-O-Honey while walking to the playground. They chewed it during baseball games. They bought it regularly because it tasted good without causing pain. Adults remember Bit-O-Honey as the underrated penny candy. It wasn't flashy. It just delivered delicious honey and almond flavor every single time. 10 penny candies, each under 5 cents, brought joy to every American child. Atomic fireballs burned. Wax lips made kids laugh. Candy cigarettes let them pretend. Root beer barrels tasted like soda. Bit-O-Honey satisfied. Every penny bought memories that still taste sweet 70 years later. Necco Wafers became the penny candy kids bought in rolls of chalky-colored discs that grandmothers loved and kids tolerated. Kids paid 3 to 5 cents for 1 roll. The store owner handed them a long paper tube filled with stacked wafers. Kids peeled the paper wrapper. They pulled out 1 wafer. Each color was a different flavor. White was wintergreen. Pink was clove. Orange was orange. Yellow was lemon. Purple was licorice. The wafers were hard and chalky. They dissolved slowly on the tongue. Kids sucked on them. The flavor was subtle and old-fashioned. Kids either loved them or thought they tasted like flavored chalk. Grandmothers always kept Necco wafers in their purses. They offered them to grandchildren during church. Kids ate them to be polite. Adults remember Necco wafers as the candy that tasted like visiting grandma. Chalky, sweet, and connected to memories of older generations who loved them. Jawbreakers became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted a challenge that lasted all day and changed colors with every layer. Kids paid 1 cent for small ones and 5 cents for giant ones. The store owner dropped the hard round candy into their hands. Kids put the Jawbreaker into their mouths immediately. They sucked on it. They couldn't bite it. It was rock hard. Biting would crack teeth. Kids sucked and sucked. The outer layer slowly dissolved. The color changed from red to orange to yellow. The flavor changed, too. Kids took the Jawbreaker out of their mouths to check the color. Then they put it back in. 1 Jawbreaker lasted hours. Sometimes kids saved it overnight. They put it on the nightstand and continued the next day. Adults remember Jawbreakers as the candy that required patience and dedication. 1 penny bought an all-day commitment. Lemonheads became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted sour lemon flavor that made their faces pucker and their mouths water. Kids handed 1 penny to the store owner. He gave them a small yellow ball of hard candy. Kids popped the lemon head into their mouths. The outer shell was sweet at first. Then the sour lemon flavor hit. Their faces scrunched up, their eyes squinted, their mouths watered. The sourness was intense. Kids loved it. They challenged each other to eat multiple lemon heads at once. 3 at a time made their whole faces pucker. The candy slowly dissolved. The sourness faded. The center was sweet and mild. Kids bought lemon heads regularly during summer. The sour flavor tasted refreshing in hot weather. Adults remember Lemonheads as the candy that made them make funny faces. 1 penny bought a sour shock that woke up every taste bud and made summer days taste like lemonade. Red Hots became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted cinnamon flavor without the jaw-breaking hardness of atomic fireballs. Kids paid 1 cent for a small box that rattled when shaken. The store owner handed it over. Kids opened the box. They poured a few tiny red candies into their palms. The candies were small and hard. Kids popped several into their mouths at once. The cinnamon flavor was hot and spicy. Their mouths burned. But it wasn't as intense as atomic fireballs. Kids could handle it. The candies dissolved slowly. The burn was pleasant. Kids ate Red Hots during movies. They poured them straight from the box into their mouths. They shared them with friends. 1 box lasted through an entire double feature. Adults remember Red Hots as the manageable cinnamon candy. 1 penny bought spicy flavor without the extreme challenge. Just the right amount of heat that tasted good all afternoon. Pixy Stix became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted pure sugar dumped directly into their mouths with no chewing required. Kids paid 1 cent for a paper straw filled with colored sugar powder. The store owner handed them a Pixy Stix. Kids tore open one end immediately. They tilted their heads back. They poured the sugar straight onto their tongues. The powder was sweet and tangy. Each color was a different fruit flavor: grape, cherry, orange, lemon. The sugar dissolved instantly. Kids' mouths turned bright colors: purple tongues, red lips, orange teeth. Kids showed each other their colored mouths and laughed. They bought multiple Pixy Stix and ate them all at once. The sugar rush hit fast. Kids ran around hyper and wild. Adults remember Pixy Stix as pure sugar in a straw. 1 penny bought a flavor explosion and enough energy to bounce off walls for an hour. 15 penny candies that shaped American childhoods. Necco Wafers from Grandma's purse. Jawbreakers that lasted all day. Lemonheads that made faces pucker. Red Hots with perfect cinnamon burn. Pixy Stix pure sugar rush. Every candy cost pennies. Every memory lasted forever. Bottle caps became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted soda flavors in crunchy tablet form that fizzed slightly on their tongues. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents for a handful of bottle caps. The store owner scooped them from a jar. The candies looked like tiny bottle caps. Each one had soda flavors printed on top: root beer, cola, cherry, grape, orange. Kids popped several into their mouths. The tablets were hard and crunchy. They crunched them with their teeth. The candy fizzed slightly. The soda flavors burst. Kids tasted cola without drinking soda. They tasted root beer without opening a bottle. Bottle caps were convenient. They didn't spill. They fit in pockets. Kids bought them for school. They ate them during recess. They traded flavors with friends. Adults remember bottle caps as the candy that tasted like their favorite sodas. 1 penny bought multiple flavors and the satisfying crunch of candy that fizzed on the tongue. Circus Peanuts became the penny candy kids bought, even though the orange marshmallow peanuts tasted like banana and confused everyone. Kids paid 1 cent per piece. The store owner pulled a bright orange peanut-shaped marshmallow from the jar. Kids bit into it. The texture was soft and spongy. The flavor was banana, not peanut, not orange, banana. Kids found this strange. Why were orange peanuts banana-flavored? Nobody knew. But kids ate them anyway. The marshmallow was chewy and sweet. One piece was filling. Kids couldn't eat more than 2 or 3. Circus Peanuts were an acquired taste. Some kids loved them. Others thought they were the weirdest candy ever made. Kids bought them occasionally, just to experience the strangeness. Adults remember Circus Peanuts as the mystery candy. 1 penny bought an orange peanut that tasted like banana and made absolutely no sense, but somehow still tasted good. Candy buttons became the penny candy kids bought on long strips of paper that required patience and careful eating. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents for a strip. The store owner handed them a sheet of paper covered with tiny dots of colored candy. Kids peeled the first candy button off the paper. They popped it into their mouths. The candy was sweet and fruity, but half the time paper came with it. Kids chewed candy and paper together. They didn't mind. The next button they were more careful. They licked it first to soften it, then they peeled it. Sometimes 3 buttons came off together. Kids ate them all. The strip lasted a long time. Kids sat on the front porch, slowly peeling and eating candy buttons one by one. Adults remember candy buttons as the candy that always came with paper. 1 penny bought a strip of tiny, sweet dots and a mouthful of paper fibers. Nick L. Nip wax bottles became the penny candy kids bought for the tiny splash of colored sugar water inside the wax bottle. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents for 4 small wax bottles shaped like miniature soda bottles. Each bottle was a different color: red, blue, green, yellow. Kids bit off the top of the wax bottle. They tilted their heads back. They squeezed the bottle. A small amount of sweet-colored liquid squirted into their mouths. The liquid tasted like sugar water with artificial fruit flavor. It was gone in 1 second. Then kids chewed the wax bottle like gum. The wax was flavorless and rubbery. Kids chewed it for a few minutes, then they threw it away. Adults remember Nick L. Nip wax bottles as the candy that promised more than it delivered. 1 penny bought 4 tiny bottles and 4 seconds of flavor, followed by chewing flavorless wax. BB bats became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted taffy on a stick that lasted forever and came in 4 flavors. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents for 1 BB bat. The store owner handed them a flat taffy lollipop. The flavors were banana, chocolate, strawberry, or vanilla. Kids unwrapped the cellophane. They licked the taffy. It was hard at first. As they licked, it softened. The taffy became chewy and sticky. Kids bit small pieces off. They chewed slowly. 1 BB bat lasted 30 minutes. Kids walked home from school licking BB bats. They did homework with BB bats stuck in their mouths. The taffy stuck to their teeth. They didn't care. The flavor was sweet and satisfying. Adults remember BB bats as the taffy that required dedication. 1 penny bought a flat lollipop that lasted half an hour and made every moment taste like childhood happiness on a stick. 20 penny candies that defined an entire generation. Bottle caps tasted like soda. Circus Peanuts confused everyone. Candy buttons came with paper. Wax bottles held 1 sip. BB bats lasted forever. Every piece cost pennies. Every memory remains priceless. American childhoods were built on sugar and small change. Dubble Bubble became the original pink bubble gum kids bought at every candy counter across America because it was the first gum specifically made for blowing bubbles. Kids walked up to the store counter with 1 penny. They pointed at the wrapped pink square. The store owner handed it over. Kids unwrapped the pink gum immediately. They popped it into their mouths. The gum was hard at first. Kids chewed vigorously. Their jaws worked hard. After a minute, the gum softened. It became stretchy and elastic. The flavor burst. Sweet and slightly fruity. Kids chewed until the gum was completely soft. Then they blew bubbles. They pushed the gum forward with their tongues. They blew air gently. A bubble formed. It grew bigger and bigger. Kids competed to see who could blow the biggest bubble. The biggest bubbles covered entire faces. Then they popped. Gum stuck to noses, cheeks, and hair. Kids laughed. They peeled the gum off. They started over. Dubble Bubble came wrapped in comic strips, just like Bazooka. Kids read the comics while they chewed. They collected them. They traded them with friends. The gum flavor didn't last very long. After 10 minutes it became flavorless, but kids kept chewing anyway. Chewing gum was cool. It made them feel older. Adults remember Dubble Bubble as the classic pink bubble gum. 1 penny bought entertainment that lasted all afternoon. Kids blew bubbles on the playground. They blew bubbles walking home. They blew bubbles until their jaws ached. Dubble Bubble represented childhood fun, sticky faces, and the simple joy of blowing the biggest bubble on the block. Squirrel Nut Zippers became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted chewy caramel with real peanuts that stuck to teeth and tasted like homemade candy. Kids handed 1 penny to the store owner. He gave them a small rectangular candy wrapped in wax paper. Kids unwrapped it. They bit into the caramel. It was incredibly chewy and dense. Peanuts were embedded throughout. The caramel flavor was rich and sweet. Not too sweet, just right. The peanuts added salty crunch. Kids chewed slowly. Their jaws worked hard. The candy stuck to every tooth. Kids kept chewing. The caramel and peanuts blended together. The flavor was satisfying and old-fashioned. 1 Squirrel Nut Zipper lasted 5 full minutes of dedicated chewing. Kids bought Squirrel Nut Zippers regularly because they tasted homemade. Not artificial, not too sugary, just good caramel and peanuts. Kids ate them after school. They ate them on Saturday mornings. They bought them with leftover pennies from lunch money. The name was funny. Kids laughed about it. Squirrels. Nuts. Zippers? What did it mean? Nobody knew. But it was a funny name for a serious candy. Adults remember Squirrel Nut Zippers as the underrated penny candy. It wasn't flashy. It didn't come with toys or comics. It just delivered honest caramel and peanut flavor that tasted better than fancy candy bars. 1 penny bought quality. It bought flavor. It bought the satisfaction of chewing something that tasted real. Squirrel Nut Zippers represented old-fashioned candy making, honest ingredients, and the childhood appreciation for candy that didn't try too hard, but tasted perfect every single time. Dots gumdrops became the penny candy kids bought in small boxes that held colorful, chewy gumdrops that stuck to teeth and came in 5 fruit flavors. Kids paid 2 or 3 cents for a small yellow box. The store owner handed it over. Kids opened the box before they left the store. Inside were assorted colored gumdrops stuck to paper. Cherry, lemon, lime, orange, grape. Kids peeled a gumdrop off the paper. They popped it into their mouths. The gumdrop was chewy and sweet. The sugar coating dissolved first. Then they chewed the gummy center. It stuck to teeth. It stuck to molars. Kids chewed and chewed. The fruit flavor was strong and artificial, but kids loved it. Each color tasted different. Kids had favorite flavors. Some loved cherry. Others preferred lemon. Grape was controversial. Some kids hated it. Kids ate dots at movie theaters. They bought a box and rationed the gumdrops throughout the film. 1 gumdrop lasted several minutes. One box lasted the entire movie. Kids shared dots with siblings. They divided them by color. You take the yellow. I'll take the red. Fair trades happened. 2 greens for 1 cherry. Dots were portable. They didn't melt. They didn't crumble. Kids carried boxes in their pockets. They ate them during road trips. They ate them during baseball games. Adults remember dots as the reliable gumdrop candy. Not fancy, not complicated, just chewy, fruit-flavored gumdrops that stuck to teeth and tasted consistently good. One box bought portable candy that survived summer heat and provided long-lasting flavor that made every moment a little sweeter. Bonomo Turkish taffy became the penny candy kids bought in flat bars that you smacked on the counter to crack into bite-sized pieces. Kids paid 5 cents for 1 bar. The store owner handed them a flat rectangular bar wrapped in colorful paper. Vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, banana. Kids didn't open it right away. First they smacked it. They held the wrapped bar and hit it hard against the store counter. Smack! The taffy inside cracked into pieces. Kids heard it break. They smiled. Then they opened the wrapper. Inside were jagged pieces of flat taffy. Kids popped a piece into their mouths. The taffy was chewy but not too sticky. It had a smooth texture. The flavor was mild and pleasant. Vanilla tasted like vanilla ice cream. Chocolate tasted rich. Strawberry was sweet and fruity. Kids chewed slowly. Each piece lasted several minutes. Smacking the taffy was half the fun. Kids competed to see who could smack it the hardest. They smacked it on tables, on sidewalks, on the floor. The louder the smack, the better. Adults yelled at kids for banging Turkish taffy everywhere, but kids didn't stop. It was tradition. You had to smack it. That's how you ate it. Adults remember Bonomo Turkish taffy as the interactive candy. You didn't just eat it. You participated. You smacked it. You broke it. You shared the pieces. 5 cents bought a flat bar and the satisfaction of cracking it into perfect bite-sized pieces that tasted smooth and sweet and made every kid feel powerful for a few minutes. Charleston Chew became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted a chocolate-covered vanilla nougat bar that they froze and then smashed into bite-sized pieces. Kids paid 5 cents for 1 bar. The store owner handed them the long, thin chocolate bar. Kids had 2 options: eat it immediately or freeze it first. Most kids froze it. They took the Charleston Chew home. They put it in the freezer. They waited several hours. Once frozen, they took it out. They unwrapped it. They held the frozen bar. Then they smashed it on the kitchen counter. The frozen bar shattered into chunks. Kids popped the frozen pieces into their mouths. The chocolate shell was cold and hard. The nougat center was frozen solid. Kids let the pieces melt slowly on their tongues. The cold chocolate melted first. Then the nougat softened. The vanilla flavor was sweet and creamy. Eating frozen Charleston Chew took time. Each piece melted slowly. Kids couldn't bite it. They had to wait. Kids who ate Charleston Chew unfrozen bit into soft, chewy nougat covered in chocolate. It was good that way, too, but freezing it made it last longer. It made it more interesting. It made it an experience. Kids shared frozen Charleston Chew chunks with friends. They sat on the porch on hot summer days eating frozen candy that cooled them down. Adults remember Charleston Chew as the versatile candy bar. 5 cents bought a bar you could eat soft or freeze hard. Either way, it tasted like vanilla and chocolate, and childhood summers spent finding ways to make candy last as long as possible. 25 penny candies shaped American childhoods. Dubble Bubble for blowing bubbles, Squirrel Nut Zippers with real peanuts, Dots, gumdrops at the movies, Turkish taffy you smacked on counters, Charleston Chew you froze and smashed. Every candy cost pennies, Every memory remains frozen in time forever. Slowpokes became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted a caramel lollipop that melted slowly and lasted longer than any other candy on a stick. Moo kids paid 2 or 3 cents for one Slowpoke. The store owner handed them a flat, oval-shaped caramel pop wrapped in cellophane. Kids unwrapped it immediately. They licked the caramel. It was hard and smooth. As they licked, the caramel softened slightly. It melted slowly on their tongues. The caramel flavor was rich and buttery. One Slowpoke lasted 30 minutes or more. Kids couldn't rush it. They had to be patient. The name said it all. Slow. Poke. You poked at it slowly with your tongue. You licked it. You waited. You licked again. Kids ate Slowpokes while doing homework. They ate them while watching television. They ate them while walking home from school. The stick made it easy to hold. The candy didn't drip. It didn't melt in summer heat. It just slowly dissolved. Kids loved Slowpokes because they got their money's worth. 2 cents bought half an hour of candy. That was value. Kids who had limited pennies bought Slowpokes because they lasted. One Slowpoke felt like 5 pieces of other candy. Adults remember Slowpokes as the patient candy. You couldn't be impatient. You had to slow down. You had to enjoy it gradually. 2 cents bought a lesson in patience and a caramel lollipop that tasted buttery and sweet and lasted longer than any candy had the right to last on a simple wooden stick. Chick-O-Stick became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted crunchy peanut butter and coconut in a stick form that didn't have chocolate but tasted delicious anyway. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents for one stick. The store owner handed them an orange stick wrapped in cellophane. Kids unwrapped it. They bit into the stick. It was crunchy and crumbly. Peanut butter flavor dominated. Toasted coconut added texture. The combination was unusual. No chocolate, just peanut butter and coconut pressed into a stick. Kids either loved it or found it strange. Those who loved it bought Chick-O-Stick regularly. The texture was satisfying. Each bite crunched. Pieces crumbled and stuck to their tongues. The peanut butter flavor was strong and salty. The coconut was sweet and toasted. Together they created a unique taste. Chick-O-Stick was messy. Crumbs fell everywhere. Kids ate it carefully. They held it over their other hand to catch crumbs. They licked the crumbs off their palms. Nothing was wasted. The stick lasted several minutes. Kids ate it slowly to avoid making too much mess. But mess was inevitable. Orange crumbs ended up on shirts, on pants, on the floor. Mothers scolded kids for eating Chick-O-Stick in the house, but kids kept buying it. Adults remember Chick-O-Stick as the underrated orange stick. 1 or 2 cents bought crunchy peanut butter coconut candy that tasted different from everything else. No chocolate needed, just peanut butter, coconut, and the childhood acceptance that the best candy always made the biggest mess. Blackjacks became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted chewy black licorice taffy that turned their tongues and teeth completely black. Kids paid 1 penny for one piece. The store owner handed them a small black square wrapped in wax paper. Kids unwrapped it. They popped the black taffy into their mouths. They bit down. The taffy was incredibly chewy. The black licorice flavor was strong and intense. Anise. Bold, not subtle. Kids either loved black licorice or hated it. There was no middle ground. Those who loved it bought blackjacks regularly. The flavor was old-fashioned and powerful. Each chew released more licorice taste. Kids chewed for several minutes. Their jaws worked hard. The taffy stuck to teeth. But the flavor was worth it. The best part of blackjacks was the aftermath. Kids opened their mouths to show friends. Their tongues were black. Their teeth were black. Everything was stained. Kids laughed. They looked like they had eaten coal. The black color stayed for hours. Kids drank water. It didn't help. They brushed their teeth. It still stayed. Blackjacks were commitment candy. You had to accept that your mouth would be black for the rest of the day. Kids bought blackjacks on purpose to shock people. They ate them. It didn't help. They brushed their teeth. It still stayed. Blackjacks were commitment candy. You had to accept that your mouth would be black for the rest of the day. Kids bought blackjacks on purpose to shock people. They ate them. Then they smiled wide. Adults screamed. Kids laughed. Adults remember blackjacks as the candy that stained everything. 1 penny bought chewy black licorice and the power to turn your entire mouth black and terrify every adult who saw you smile. Fruit stripe gum became the penny candy kids bought because each piece came in 5 bright colors with zebra stripes and temporary tattoos on the wrapper. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents per piece. The store owner handed them a stick wrapped in colorful paper. Each stick had a different color: red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Each color had zebra stripes. Kids loved the design. Before they chewed the gum, they looked at the wrapper. On the back was a temporary tattoo of Yipes the zebra. Kids licked the tattoo. They pressed it on their arms. They waited. Then they peeled off the paper. The tattoo transferred to their skin. Kids had zebra tattoos. They showed their friends. Everyone wanted one. Then kids unwrapped the gum. They popped the colorful stick into their mouths. They chewed. The flavor burst immediately. Fruity, sweet, intense. Each color was a different fruit flavor. Kids loved the strong taste. But there was a problem. The flavor didn't last. After 2 minutes, the flavor was gone, completely gone. Kids chewed flavorless gum. They were disappointed, but they kept buying Fruit Stripe anyway. The tattoos made it worth it. Kids collected tattoo designs. They covered their arms with zebras. Adults remember Fruit Stripe gum as the gum with the best wrapper and the shortest flavor. 1 or 2 cents bought 2 minutes of intense fruity taste and a temporary tattoo that lasted longer than the flavor. Kids didn't care. The zebra made it cool. The stripes made it fun. Laffy Taffy became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted long, flat taffy with terrible jokes printed on every wrapper. Kids paid 2 or 3 cents for 1 piece. The store owner handed them a flat, rectangular taffy wrapped in shiny paper. Banana, strawberry, grape, cherry, watermelon. Kids read the joke first. Every wrapper had a joke. Why did the chicken cross the playground to get to the other slide? Kids groaned. The jokes were terrible, corny, ridiculous. But kids loved them. They read the jokes out loud. They shared them with friends. Everyone groaned together. Then kids unwrapped the taffy. They stretched it. Laffy Taffy was soft and stretchy, not hard like other taffy. Kids pulled it. It stretched long. They folded it. They twisted it. They played with it before eating it. Finally, kids bit into the taffy. It was chewy and soft. The flavor was strong and fruity. Banana tasted like artificial banana. Strawberry was sweet and pink. Grape was bold and purple. Kids chewed slowly. The taffy was satisfying. It didn't stick to teeth as badly as other taffy. 1 piece lasted several minutes. Kids saved the wrappers. They collected jokes. They traded wrappers with friends. I'll give you 2 banana jokes for 1 watermelon joke. Fair trades happened. Adults remember Laffy Taffy as the candy that came with entertainment. 2 or 3 cents bought chewy taffy and a terrible joke that made everyone laugh despite how bad it was. The jokes were awful. The taffy was delicious. The combination was perfect. Re-hook. 30-penny candies created memories that lasted lifetimes. slow pokes that melted slowly, Chico-Stick orange crumbs, blackjacks that stained mouths, Fruit Stripe with zebra tattoos, Laffy Taffy with terrible jokes. Every piece cost pennies, every wrapper held a story. Childhood tasted sweet and cost almost nothing. Sweethearts became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted sweet and sour tablet candies that fizzed slightly on their tongues. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents for a roll. The store owner handed them a tube wrapped in clear plastic. Inside were pastel-colored tablets stacked on top of each other. Pink, purple, yellow, green, orange. Kids opened the roll. They tapped out one tablet into their palms. They popped it into their mouths. The tablet was hard and chalky. They sucked on it. The flavor started sweet. Then it turned sour. Their mouths puckered slightly. The tablet slowly dissolved. It fizzed gently on their tongues. Kids loved the sweet-sour combination. It wasn't too sour, not like Lemonheads, just pleasantly tart. Each tablet lasted a minute or two. Kids ate several at once for stronger flavor. Sweethearts were perfect for sharing. Kids opened a roll and passed it around. Everyone took one tablet. Each person got a different color. Each color had a different flavor. Kids compared. Mine's cherry. What's yours? Lemon. Sweethearts traveled well. The roll fit in pockets. The tablets didn't melt. They didn't crumble. Kids carried sweethearts everywhere. They ate them during class. They hid the roll in their desks. They snuck tablets during lessons. Teachers didn't notice. The tablets dissolved quietly. Adults remember sweethearts as the balanced candy. Not too sweet, not too sour, just right. 1 or 2 cents bought a roll of tablets that combined sweet and tart in perfect harmony and fit perfectly in a pocket for secret snacking throughout the entire school day. Like M-Aid, Fun Dip became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted pure flavored sugar powder and a candy stick to dip into it. Kids paid 2 or 3 cents for one packet. The store owner handed them a small paper envelope. Kids tore it open. Inside were 2 pouches of colored sugar powder and 1 white candy stick. The pouches were bright colors: cherry red, grape purple, orange, lemon yellow. Kids opened 1 pouch first. They licked the candy stick. They dipped the wet stick into the sugar powder. The powder stuck to the stick. They licked it off. Sweet, tangy, intense flavor. Kids repeated the process. Lick, dip, lick, dip. The sugar disappeared quickly. Kids opened the second pouch. They kept dipping. When both pouches were empty, kids ate the candy stick. It was chalky and sweet, pure sugar. Like M-Aid was messy. Sugar powder spilled everywhere. It got on fingers, on faces, on clothes. Kids' tongues turned bright colors: red tongues, purple tongues, orange lips. They showed each other. They laughed. Their mouths were stained. The sugar rush hit fast. Kids became hyper. They ran around. They talked fast. They bounced. Adults knew when kids had eaten like M-Aid. The evidence was everywhere. Colored mouths, hyper behavior, sugar everywhere. Adults remember like M-Aid Fun Dip as pure sugar in powder form. 2 or 3 cents bought flavored powder, a candy stick, and a sugar rush that made kids bounce off walls for 30 minutes while their tongues glowed neon colors that wouldn't wash off until dinner time. Zots became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted hard candy with a secret fizzy sour center that exploded in their mouths. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents for 1 piece. The store owner handed them a wrapped hard candy. Apple, cherry, watermelon, orange, grape. Kids unwrapped it. They popped the hard candy into their mouths. They sucked on it. At first, it tasted like regular hard candy. Sweet, fruity, normal. Kids sucked and sucked. The outer shell dissolved. Then suddenly the center broke through. Fizz, sour powder exploded. Kids' eyes widened. Their mouths filled with fizzy, sour, tingling sensation. It felt like soda, like Pop Rocks, but more intense. The fizzing lasted several seconds. Kids' mouths watered. The sourness hit hard. Then it faded. The candy continued dissolving normally. Kids bought Zots to prank friends. They gave a Zots to someone who had never tried one. "Here, try this candy." The friend popped it in, sucked on it, waited, then fizz. The friend's face reacted, eyes wide, mouth puckered. "What was that?" Kids laughed. Zots was the surprise candy. You couldn't rush it. You had to wait for the center. Adults remember Zots as the fizzy hard candy. 1 or 2 cents bought a sweet outer shell and a sour fizzy center that exploded unexpectedly and made every piece an adventure. You knew it was coming, but it always surprised you anyway. That was the magic of Zots. Pop Rocks became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted candy that popped, crackled, and fizzed violently inside their mouths like tiny fireworks. Kids paid 5 cents for 1 packet. The store owner handed them a small foil pouch. Kids tore it open carefully. Inside were tiny colored crystals. They looked like sugar. Kids poured the crystals onto their tongues. Immediately the popping started. Pop, crackle, fizz. The crystals exploded. Kids felt tiny explosions all over their tongues. It tickled, it fizzed. It felt strange and exciting. Kids opened their mouths. Their friends could hear the popping. Everyone wanted to try. Pop Rocks were a sensation. Kids had never experienced anything like it. Candy that exploded. Candy that made noise. Candy that felt alive. Kids bought Pop Rocks repeatedly just to experience the popping again. Rumors spread about Pop Rocks. Kids said, if you ate Pop Rocks and drank soda, your stomach would explode. The rumor wasn't true, but kids believed it. Some kids were scared to try the combination. Others tested it. Nothing happened, but the rumor persisted. Pop Rocks became legendary. Not just candy, a challenge, an experience, an adventure. Kids gathered in groups. They poured Pop Rocks on their tongues together. They listened to each other's mouths crackle. They laughed. Adults remember Pop Rocks as the revolutionary candy. 5 cents bought a packet of candy that exploded, crackled, and fizzed like nothing else before or since. It wasn't just candy. It was science. It was magic. It was childhood in crystallized, popping form. Razzles became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted candy that magically transformed into gum while they chewed it. Kids paid 2 cents for a small pack. The store owner handed them a packet with 5 or 6 small round candies inside. Kids opened the pack. They popped all the Razzles into their mouths at once. At first they were hard candy. Kids crunched them with their teeth. They tasted sweet and fruity. But as kids chewed, something magical happened. The candy didn't dissolve. It transformed. The pieces stuck together. They became gum. Kids kept chewing. The hard candy completely changed into soft, chewy gum. Kids couldn't believe it. Candy that turned into gum. How was that possible? Nobody knew, but it worked every time. Kids chewed the gum for several minutes. The flavor lasted longer than regular gum. Then eventually the flavor faded. Kids threw it away. Razzles confused everyone. Was it candy? Was it gum? The package said, first it's candy, then it's gum. Both. It was both. Kids debated whether Razzles counted as candy or gum. Teachers had rules. No gum in class. But Razzles started as candy. So was it allowed? Kids tested the rules. They ate Razzles in class. Teachers caught them chewing. Is that gum? No, it's candy. Technically true, at first. Adults remember Razzles as the transforming candy. 2 cents bought a pack of magic. Candy became gum, rules became blurry, kids became sneaky. Razzles represented innovation, transformation, and the childhood thrill of candy that bent the rules and changed form right inside your mouth. 35-penny candies filled American childhoods with flavor. Sweethearts balanced sweet and sour. Fun Dip was pure sugar powder. Zots exploded with fizz. Pop Rocks crackled like fireworks. Razzles transformed into gum. Every candy cost pennies. Every piece created magic. Childhood tasted like innovation in every bite. Fizzies became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted to turn plain water into instant soda right before their eyes. Kids paid 5 cents for one tablet. The store owner handed them a foil-wrapped disc. Kids took it home. They filled a glass with cold water. They unwrapped the fizzy tablet. They dropped it into the water. Immediately it started fizzing. Bubbles rose to the surface. The tablet dissolved quickly. The water changed color. If it was grape fizzy, the water turned purple. If it was orange, the water turned orange. Cherry turned red. Root beer turned brown. Kids watched the transformation. Plain water became colorful, fizzy soda in 30 seconds. They stirred it with a spoon. They took a sip. It tasted like soda. Sweet, fizzy, fruity. But it came from a tablet. Kids thought it was magic. Fizzies were popular in the 1960s. Kids bought them instead of soda. One tablet was cheaper than a bottle of soda. Parents liked Fizzies because kids could make their own drinks. No bottles to carry home, no mess. Just drop a tablet in water. But Fizzies had a problem. The artificial sweetener tasted strange. Some kids didn't like it. The fizz was good, the color was fun, but the aftertaste was chemical. By the 1970s, Fizzies disappeared from stores. Adults remember Fizzies as the instant soda tablet. 5 cents bought a tablet that transformed water into fizzy, colored soda that almost tasted real and made every kid feel like a scientist creating magic potions in a glass. Lemon Drops became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted sour lemon hard candy that made their mouths pucker and lasted a long time. Kids paid 1 cent for one piece. The store owner scooped a lemon drop from the jar. He handed it over wrapped in clear cellophane. Kids unwrapped it immediately. They popped the yellow hard candy into their mouths. They sucked on it. The outer shell was sweet. Then the sour lemon flavor hit. Their faces scrunched up. Their eyes squinted. Their mouths watered. The sourness was sharp and intense. Kids loved it. The sour flavor made them feel alive. It woke up every taste bud. They kept sucking. The lemon drop slowly dissolved. The sourness faded gradually. The center was sweeter. One lemon drop lasted 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how patiently kids sucked on it. Lemon drops were old-fashioned candy. Grandmothers kept them in candy dishes. Kids found them at Grandma's house. They took one. They sucked on it while Grandma told stories. Lemon drops were gentle candy, not wild, not crazy, just simple sour lemon flavor that tasted clean and refreshing. Kids bought lemon drops during summer. The sour flavor was cooling. It tasted like lemonade in candy form. Adults remember lemon drops as the classic sour candy. 1 penny bought a yellow hard candy that made faces pucker and mouths water and lasted long enough to make the walk home from the store feel shorter because the sour lemon flavor kept tongues busy the entire way. Sour balls became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted assorted fruit flavors in hard candy form that started sour and ended sweet. Kids paid 1 cent per piece. The store owner scooped a sour ball from the jar. Kids got a random color: red, green, yellow, orange, purple. Each color was a different fruit flavor: cherry, lime, lemon, orange, grape. Kids popped the sour ball into their mouths. They sucked on it. The outer layer was sour. Their mouths puckered. The tartness made them wince. But they kept sucking. As the outer layer dissolved, the sourness faded. The center was sweet. The transition from sour to sweet was gradual and satisfying. The center was sweet. The transition from sour to sweet was gradual and satisfying. Kids loved the journey. One sour ball lasted several minutes. Kids sucked patiently. They took the candy out occasionally to check the color. The outer layer changed as it dissolved. Kids bought multiple sour balls at once. 5 pennies bought 5 flavors. Kids compared flavors with friends. Which is most sour? Definitely lemon. No, lime is worse. Debates happened. Kids tested the theory. They tried each flavor. Lemon was sharp, lime was bitter, cherry was mild. Kids ranked the flavors. Sour balls were portable and practical. They didn't melt. They didn't crumble. Kids carried them everywhere. They sucked on sour balls during road trips, during boring church services, during long afternoons sitting on the porch. Adults remember sour balls as the versatile hard candy. 1 penny bought a random flavor that started sour and ended sweet and lasted long enough to make any boring moment a little more interesting and a little more bearable. Smarties became the penny candy kids bought in rolls of colorful tart tablets that crunched when bitten and came wrapped in clear plastic. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents for a roll. The store owner handed them a thin tube wrapped in plastic. Kids tore open one end. They tapped the roll. Small round tablets slid into their palms. Pastel colors: pink, yellow, white, orange, purple, green. Kids popped several into their mouths at once. They crunched them with their teeth. The tablets were chalky and tart. Not too sour, just pleasantly tangy. The tablets dissolved quickly. Kids ate the entire roll in under a minute. 1 roll didn't last long, but they were cheap. Kids bought multiple rolls. 5 pennies bought 5 rolls. That was enough to share. Smarties were perfect for Halloween. Houses handed out rolls of Smarties. Kids collected dozens. They sorted their Halloween candy: chocolate in one pile, hard candy in another, Smarties in a third pile. Some kids loved Smarties. Others traded them away. "I'll give you 3 Smarties for 1 Tootsie Roll." Trades happened. Smarties were also perfect for movie theaters. Kids bought rolls and ate them quietly during the film. The tablets crunched softly. They didn't make noise. Nobody complained. Adults remember Smarties as the tart tablet candy. 1 or 2 cents bought a roll of chalky, tangy tablets that crunched satisfyingly and disappeared quickly, but cost so little that kids could afford to buy multiple rolls and eat them all without feeling guilty about spending too much of their precious pocket change. Tootsie Pops became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted a lollipop with a Tootsie Roll center that rewarded patience. Kids paid 5 cents for 1 pop. The store owner handed them a wrapped lollipop on a white stick. Chocolate, cherry, grape, orange, raspberry. Kids unwrapped the cellophane. They licked the hard candy outer shell. The flavor was fruity and sweet. Kids licked patiently. The hard candy slowly dissolved. Their tongues worked the surface. They licked and licked. The question everyone asked was, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center? Kids tried to count. They licked. 1, 2, 3. They lost count. They gave up. They bit into the pop. The chocolate Tootsie Roll center was soft and chewy. The combination of hard candy and chewy chocolate was perfect. Kids loved it. The Tootsie Pop wrapper had a mystery. If your wrapper had a picture of a Native American shooting a star with a bow and arrow, you got a free Tootsie Pop. Kids checked every wrapper. Most had nothing, but occasionally a kid found the special wrapper. They ran back to the store. "Look, I found it!" The store owner gave them a free pop. Kids felt like they won the lottery. Adults remember Tootsie Pops as the lollipop with a reward. 5 cents bought a hard candy shell, a chewy chocolate center, and the hope that maybe this wrapper would be the special one that earned a free candy and made them the luckiest kid on the block. 40 penny candies shaped generations of American kids. Fizzies transformed water into soda. Lemon drops puckered faces. Sour balls journeyed from tart to sweet. Smarties crunched in colorful tablets. Tootsie Pops rewarded patience. Every piece cost pennies. Every memory lasted lifetimes. Childhood tasted like possibility wrapped in cellophane. Aba-Zaba became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted chewy white taffy wrapped around creamy peanut butter filling that stretched and stuck to everything. Kids paid 5 cents for 1 bar. The store owner handed them a yellow wrapper with black checkerboard pattern and bold letters spelling Aba-Zaba. Kids unwrapped it immediately. The bar was white and rectangular. They bit into it. The outer taffy was chewy and dense. Inside was thick peanut butter, not smooth, not creamy, thick and paste-like. The combination was unusual. White taffy and peanut butter. Kids had never tasted anything like it. The taffy stretched when they pulled it. The peanut butter stuck to their teeth. Kids chewed slowly. Their jaws worked hard. The taffy was serious business. It required dedication. 1 Aba-Zaba lasted 10 minutes of committed chewing. Kids couldn't talk while eating it. Their mouths were too full. The taffy glued their teeth together. They made sounds, but no words. Aba-Zaba was West Coast candy. Kids in California knew it well. Kids on the East Coast had never heard of it. Regional differences existed. Some candies were everywhere. Some were local. Aba-Zaba was California candy. Kids there loved it. They bought it regularly. They knew the yellow wrapper. They knew the chewy challenge. They knew their jaws would ache. But they bought it anyway. The peanut butter taffy combination was addictive. Once you tried it, you understood. It tasted strange at first. Then you couldn't stop eating it. Kids shared Aba-Zaba with friends. They cut the bar in half. Each person got a piece. They chewed together in silence. Nobody could talk. Everyone's mouth was glued shut with taffy and peanut butter. They laughed without opening their mouths, just nose sounds, giggles through sealed lips. Aba-Zaba created bonding moments, silent chewing sessions, shared struggles with sticky candy. Adults remember Aba-Zaba as the California classic. 5 cents bought a yellow-wrapped bar of white taffy and peanut butter that stretched impossibly long and stuck to every tooth and required 10 minutes of jaw exercise but tasted so uniquely delicious that kids kept buying it despite the effort. The name was fun to say, Aba-Zaba. Kids repeated it, Aba-Zaba, Aba-Zaba. The name stuck in their heads just like the taffy stuck to their teeth. That was the magic of Aba-Zaba. Sky Bar became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted 1 chocolate bar divided into 4 sections with 4 different fillings. Kids paid 5 cents for 1 bar. The store owner handed them a red wrapper with Sky Bar printed in white letters. Kids unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a chocolate bar divided into 4 distinct sections. Each section had a different filling. Caramel, vanilla, peanut, fudge. Kids examined the bar. They decided which section to eat first. Some kids ate their favorite first. Others saved the best for last. Strategy mattered. Kids bit into the caramel section. Smooth chocolate, gooey caramel center, delicious. They chewed slowly. They savored it. Next they tried vanilla. Smooth chocolate, creamy vanilla filling, simple and sweet. Then peanut. Chocolate with peanut filling, crunchy and salty. Finally fudge, chocolate with fudge center, rich and dense. 4 different experiences in one bar. Kids loved the variety. Sky Bar was invented in 1938. By the 1950s and 60s, it was popular. Kids recognized the red wrapper. They knew what to expect. 4 sections, 4 flavors, 1 satisfying candy bar. Sky Bar was perfect for indecisive kids. Kids who couldn't choose 1 flavor got 4. Problem solved. Sky Bar was also perfect for sharing. 4 sections meant 4 people could share. Each person got 1 section. Fair division. No arguments. Kids broke the bar carefully along the molded lines, each section separated cleanly. They distributed the pieces. You get caramel, I get fudge, he gets vanilla, she gets peanut. Everyone got something different. Everyone was happy. By the 1980s, Sky Bar became harder to find. Production slowed, distribution decreased. Kids who grew up eating Sky Bar couldn't find it anymore. They missed it. They remembered the 4 sections. They remembered deciding which filling to eat first. Years later, some companies brought Sky Bar back. Adults bought it for nostalgia. They unwrapped the red wrapper. They saw the 4 sections again. Memories flooded back. They bit into caramel. Marathon Bar became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted the longest chocolate bar in America that measured a full 8 inches and was braided like rope. Kids paid 10 cents for 1 bar. The store owner handed them a bright red ruler-shaped package. The packaging was part of the appeal. It looked like a ruler. It had inch markings printed on it. Kids unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a braided chocolate caramel bar. Long, thin, twisted. The braid pattern made it look fancy. Kids held it up. It was impressively long, longer than any other candy bar. Kids felt like they got their money's worth. 10 cents bought 8 inches of chocolate and caramel. That was value. Marathon Bar commercials featured cowboys running marathons. The tagline was, "Goes on and on." Kids remembered the commercials. They repeated the catchphrase, "Marathon Bar goes on and on." It was true. The bar felt endless. 8 inches was long. Kids measured other things against Marathon Bar. This pencil is shorter than a Marathon Bar. Everything became comparison points. Marathon Bar was discontinued in 1981. It lasted over 30 years. When it disappeared, kids were disappointed. They looked for it in stores. It was gone. The long braided bar vanished. Years later, similar candy appeared under different names, but it wasn't the same. Butternut Bar became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted butterscotch-flavored candy bar with peanuts that tasted old-fashioned and sweet. Kids paid 5 cents for 1 bar. The store owner handed them a yellow wrapper with butternut printed in brown letters. Kids unwrapped it. Inside was a light-colored candy bar, not chocolate, butterscotch. The color was tan and golden. Kids bit into it. The flavor was sweet and buttery. Butterscotch dominated. Peanuts added crunch and saltiness. The combination was unique. Most candy bars were chocolate. Butternut was different. It stood out. Kids who loved butterscotch bought butternut regularly. Kids who preferred chocolate ignored it. Butternut was niche candy. Not everyone liked it, but those who did were loyal. Butternut Bar was old candy. It was created in the 1920s. By the 1950s and 60s, it had been around for decades. It tasted old-fashioned, like something grandparents ate, but kids still bought it. The butterscotch flavor was comforting. It tasted like butterscotch pudding. like butterscotch candies Grandma kept in her purse. Familiar, safe, sweet. Kids ate Butternut Bar after school. They ate it slowly. The butterscotch melted on their tongues. The peanuts crunched between their teeth. One bar lasted several minutes. It wasn't chewy. It wasn't hard. It was somewhere in between, soft but firm, easy to bite, easy to chew. Butternut Bar eventually disappeared from most stores. By the 1990s, it was hard to find. Production stopped in many areas. Kids who grew up eating it couldn't find it anymore. They searched. They asked store owners, "Do you have butternut?" Store owners shook their heads. "Haven't seen that in years." Butternut became a memory, a forgotten candy bar. Adults talked about it. "Remember butternut?" "Yes, butterscotch and peanuts." "I loved that bar." Shared nostalgia connected people. Zero Bar became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted white fudge, caramel, peanuts, and almonds covered in white chocolate. Kids paid 5 cents for one bar. The store owner handed them a white wrapper with zero printed in bold letters. Kids unwrapped it. Inside was a white candy bar. Not brown, not milk chocolate, white. The color was unusual. Most candy bars were chocolate brown. Zero was different. Kids bit into it. The outer coating was white chocolate, sweet and creamy. Inside was white fudge mixed with caramel, smooth and chewy. Peanuts and almonds added crunch. The combination was complex, multiple textures, multiple flavors, all white. Kids loved it or found it strange. White candy bars were unusual, but zero tasted good. Sweet without being too sweet, nutty without being too crunchy, balanced. Zero Bar was created in 1920. The name supposedly meant zero excess, everything you wanted, nothing you didn't. Kids didn't care about the meaning. They just knew it tasted different. Zero was not mainstream candy. It wasn't Hershey's. It wasn't Snickers. It was zero. Regional popularity varied. Some areas loved it. Other areas barely carried it. Kids in certain states grew up eating zero regularly. Kids in other states had never heard of it. Regional candy differences created different childhoods. Kids ate Zero Bar after school. They bit into the white chocolate. They chewed the fudge and caramel. They crunched the nuts. One bar lasted several minutes. Zero was satisfying. It filled them up. It didn't feel like empty candy. It felt substantial. Real ingredients, real nuts, real fudge. Kids could taste the quality. Zero Bar wasn't cheap candy. It was legitimate, worth the 5 cents. Zero Bar is still available today. Production never stopped. It survived decades of candy bar evolution. 45 penny candies filled American childhoods with flavor and memories. Aba-Zaba stretched impossibly long. Sky Bar offered 4 fillings. Marathon Bar measured 8 inches. Butternut tasted like butterscotch dreams. Zero Bar proved white chocolate mattered. Every candy cost pennies. Every memory became priceless. Childhood tasted like variety wrapped in colorful wrappers. Mallow Cups became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted chocolate cups filled with marshmallow cream and a cardboard coin you could save for prizes. Kids paid 5 cents for 2 cups. The store owner handed them a yellow package. Inside were 2 chocolate cups wrapped in gold foil. Kids unwrapped 1 cup. They bit into it. The chocolate shell was thin and sweet. Inside was white marshmallow cream, soft and fluffy. The marshmallow had a unique texture, not like marshmallows you roasted. Smoother, creamier, almost whipped. Kids ate both cups quickly. 2 cups weren't enough. They wanted more, but 5 cents bought only 2. Kids saved their pennies to buy more Mallow Cups. The best part of Mallow Cups was the cardboard coin. Inside each package was a small cardboard disc printed with point values. Kids collected the coins. They saved them. The back of the package explained the prize program. Collect enough points, mail them in, get free candy. Kids were motivated. They bought Mallow Cups regularly. They collected coins. They stored them in jars. They counted their points. "I have 250 points. I have 500, kids competed. Who could collect the most? Months passed. Kids finally had enough points. They filled out the form. They mailed in the coins. Weeks later, a package arrived. Free Mallow Cups. The prize system worked. Kids felt rewarded for their loyalty. Mallow Cups were Pennsylvania candy, made by Boyer Brothers in Altoona. Regional pride existed. Pennsylvania kids knew Mallow Cups well. They grew up eating them. Kids in other states had limited access. Distribution was regional, but kids who found Mallow Cups loved them. Chunky Bar became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted a thick, square chocolate bar filled with raisins and peanuts that felt substantial. Kids paid 10 cents for one bar. The store owner handed them a silver foil wrapper with Chunky printed in red letters. Kids unwrapped it. Inside was a thick chocolate square, not rectangular like most bars. Square, chunky, the name fit. Kids bit into it. The chocolate was milk chocolate, sweet and creamy. Inside were raisins and peanuts, lots of them. The raisins were chewy and sweet. The peanuts were crunchy and salty. The combination worked. Sweet, salty, chewy, crunchy, all in one bite. Kids loved the texture variety. Every bite was different. Sometimes more raisins, sometimes more peanuts. Unpredictable. Interesting? Chunky Bar was thick. Thicker than regular candy bars. It felt heavy in the hand. Substantial. Kids felt like they were eating real food, not just candy, real chocolate, real raisins, real peanuts. Nothing artificial, nothing fake. Chunky was honest candy. What you saw was what you got. Chocolate, fruit, nuts, simple ingredients, quality ingredients. Kids appreciated that even if they couldn't articulate it, they just knew Chunky tasted real. Chunky Bar was created in 1938. By the 1950s and 60s, it was established candy. Kids recognized the silver wrapper. They knew the square shape. They knew the raisins and peanuts inside. Chunky was reliable. It never changed. Same recipe, same shape, same wrapper. Consistency mattered. Kids knew what to expect. Chunky delivered every time. Kids ate Chunky Bar slowly. The thickness required patience. They couldn't bite through it quickly. They took small bites. They chewed thoroughly. Bit-O-Choc became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted the chocolate version of Bit-O-Honey with tiny chocolate bits instead of almonds. Kids paid 2 cents for one piece. The store owner handed them a small rectangular bar wrapped in brown paper with Bit-O-Choc printed on it. Kids unwrapped it. Inside was honey taffy with chocolate bits. And the taffy was the same as Bit-O-Honey. Chewy, honey-flavored, sweet. But instead of almond pieces, this one had chocolate bits. Tiny pieces of chocolate scattered throughout the taffy. Kids bit into it. The honey flavor dominated, sweet and rich. The chocolate bits added depth, chocolate and honey together. An unusual combination, but it worked. The chocolate melted slightly as they chewed. It blended with the honey. The flavor was complex, not just honey, not just chocolate. Both. Bit-O-Choc was less popular than Bit-O-Honey. Most kids preferred the original with almonds, but some kids preferred chocolate. They bought Bit-O-Choc regularly. They liked the chocolate-honey combination. It felt fancier, more sophisticated. Honey and chocolate, ingredients that appeared in fancy desserts, not typical penny candy flavors. Bit-O-Choc stood out. Kids who bought it felt like they had refined taste. They weren't eating regular candy. They were eating chocolate honey taffy. That sounded impressive. Bit-O-Choc disappeared eventually. Production stopped. Store shelves no longer carried it. Kids who loved it were disappointed. They searched for it. They asked store owners. Bullseyes, caramel creams. Bullseyes became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted soft vanilla caramel wrapped around cream filling that melted in their mouths. Kids paid 1 cent for one piece. The store owner scooped a bullseye from the jar. He handed it wrapped in wax paper twisted at both ends. Kids unwrapped it. Inside was a round caramel candy, tan-colored, soft. Kids bit into it. The outer layer was vanilla caramel, soft and chewy. Inside was white cream filling, sweet and smooth. The caramel and cream blended together as they chewed. The texture was perfect, not too sticky, not too hard, just soft and satisfying. Bullseyes melted slowly. Kids didn't have to chew aggressively. They could chew gently. Their jaws didn't get tired. One bullseye lasted several minutes. Bullseyes were old-fashioned candy. They tasted like something from another era, like candy grandparents ate. The flavor was mild, not intense, not sour, not spicy, just sweet vanilla caramel and cream. Gentle flavor, comforting flavor. Kids who liked aggressive candy found bullseyes boring. Kids who appreciated subtle sweetness loved them. Bullseyes were polarizing. You either loved them or ignored them completely. Kids bought bullseyes for grandparents. Grandparents loved them. Get me some of those caramel creams. Kids went to the store. They bought a handful. 5 cents bought 5 pieces. They brought them home. Grandparents smiled. Thank you. They unwrapped one. They chewed slowly. They savored it. Bullseyes reminded grandparents of their own childhoods. The taste transported them back. They were kids again, buying penny candy, eating caramel creams. Life was simple. Candy was simple. Everything was simple. Fluffernutter became the after-school snack kids made at home when they wanted marshmallow fluff and peanut butter on white bread. This wasn't penny candy from the store. This was homemade happiness. Kids came home from school hungry. They opened the refrigerator. They pulled out the jar of peanut butter. They opened the cupboard. They grabbed the jar of marshmallow fluff. They took out 2 slices of white bread. They made magic. Kids spread peanut butter on 1 slice. Thick layer, creamy or crunchy. Preference varied. Then they spread marshmallow fluff on the other slice. Thick, white, fluffy sweetness. They pressed the slices together. Peanut butter and marshmallow fluff squished out the sides. Kids licked the edges. They bit into the sandwich. The combination was perfect. Salty peanut butter, sweet marshmallow, soft bread. Kids ate, standing at the kitchen counter. They finished in under a minute. They made another one. Fluffernutter was New England tradition. Massachusetts kids grew up eating them. Rhode Island kids knew them well. The name was fun, Fluffernutter. Kids repeated it. Fluffernutter, Fluffernutter. The word bounced. The sandwich satisfied. Marshmallow fluff was invented in Massachusetts. Naturally, it became a local staple. Marshmallow fluff appeared in recipes, on pancakes, in hot chocolate. But the most famous use was Fluffernutter. Peanut butter and marshmallow fluff sandwiches. Simple, iconic, delicious. Kids ate Fluffernutter for after-school snacks, for lunch, for late-night snacks. Any time they were hungry, the ingredients were always available. Peanut butter lasted forever. 50-penny candies and snacks filled American childhoods with sweetness. Mallow Cups came with prize coins. Chunky Bar was thick and square. Bit-O-Choc mixed honey and chocolate. Bullseyes melted gently. Fluffernutter was homemade magic. Every treat cost pennies. Every memory lasted forever. Childhood tasted like home. Wax harmonicas became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted wax shaped like tiny musical instruments they could pretend to play before chewing. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents for one harmonica. The store owner handed them a small wax harmonica wrapped in cellophane. Red, blue, yellow, green, bright colors. Kids unwrapped it carefully. They held the wax harmonica. It looked real. Tiny, detailed. Holes on top, ridges on the sides. Kids put it to their lips. They pretended to play. They made sounds with their mouths. Not real harmonica sounds, just kid sounds. Do-do-do-dee-do. They pretended they were musicians. They entertained siblings. Everyone laughed. After 5 minutes of pretending, kids bit into the wax. It had a faint, sweet flavor. Not much, just a hint of sweetness. The wax was rubbery. Kids chewed it like gum. The flavor disappeared in 30 seconds. Then they were just chewing flavorless wax. They chewed for a few more minutes. Then they threw it away. Wax candy was strange. Kids knew it was strange, but they bought it anyway. The novelty was worth the penny. Wax lips, wax mustaches, wax harmonicas, wax bottles. All strange, all fun, all cheap. Wax candy was toy candy, entertainment candy, not eating candy. Parents didn't understand wax candy. Kids understood that candy didn't always have to taste amazing. Sometimes candy could be an experience, a game, a prop. Wax candy mostly disappeared by the 1980s. A few varieties remained, but wax harmonicas vanished. Kids couldn't find them. Stores stopped carrying them. Wax candy was old-fashioned. New candies were better. More flavor, better texture. Wax candy couldn't compete. It faded away. Adults remember wax harmonicas fondly, not because they tasted good, they didn't, but because they were fun. 1 cent bought a tiny wax instrument, 5 minutes of pretend music, and the childhood understanding that fun mattered more than flavor and imagination cost nothing but enhanced everything. Taffy became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted 5 individually wrapped taffy squares in chocolate, banana, or strawberry flavor. Kids paid 1 cent for 5 pieces. That was incredible value. The store owner handed them a strip of 5 connected taffies. Each piece was wrapped separately. Kids could tear them apart. They chose which flavor to eat first. Chocolate, banana, strawberry. Decisions mattered. Some kids ate their favorite first. Others saved it for last. Strategy varied. Kids unwrapped the first piece. They popped the taffy into their mouths. It was chewy and sweet. 5 pieces for 1 penny made Kits the best value in penny candy. Kids calculated. If I have 5 pennies, I can get 25 pieces of Kits. 25 pieces of candy for 5 cents. Kids ate Kits during school. They hid them in their desks. They unwrapped pieces quietly during class. They chewed silently. Teachers didn't notice. Sneaky eating happened. Kits were perfect for it. Small, quiet, easy to hide. Kits taffy disappeared from most stores eventually. Production continued, but distribution narrowed. Regional availability varied. Some areas still had Kits. Other areas forgot they existed. Adults who remembered Kits searched for them. They found them online. They bought boxes. They unwrapped a piece. They chewed. Adults remember Kits taffy as the best value. 1 penny bought 5 pieces of chewy taffy in 3 flavors that fit in pockets and lasted all day, and taught kids that quantity and quality could coexist, and that 1 cent could buy not just candy, but the ability to share generously and make friends easily and carry happiness in your pocket wherever you went. Taffy became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted flat peanut butter flavored taffy. They smacked on the counter just like Turkish taffy. Kids paid 5 cents for 1 bar. The store owner handed them a flat rectangular bar wrapped in yellow paper. Peanut butter flavor. Kids held the wrapped bar. They smacked it hard on the counter. Crack. The taffy inside broke into pieces. Kids smiled. They opened the wrapper. Inside were jagged pieces of peanut butter taffy. Bonomo made multiple taffy flavors: vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, banana, peanut butter. Kids had preferences. Some loved vanilla, others loved peanut butter. The peanut butter version was controversial. Some kids thought it tasted weird. Peanut butter taffy? That's strange. Other kids loved it. It's amazing. Try it. Divided opinions existed, but kids who loved it were loyal. They bought peanut butter taffy repeatedly. Bonomo Taffy mostly disappeared by the 2000s. The company had financial troubles. Production stopped. Stores no longer carried it. Kids who grew up smacking Bonomo bars on counters couldn't find them anymore. They mourned. I miss Bonomo. Me too. Shared loss bonded people. Years later, Bonomo came back. A new company bought the brand. They restarted production. Adults celebrated. They bought boxes. They smacked the bars on counters. Crack. They opened the wrappers. They ate the pieces. The taste was the same. Still peanut butter. Still flat. Still satisfying. Nostalgia tasted like peanut butter taffy. Adults remember Bonomo peanut butter taffy as the smackable bar. 5 cents bought flat peanut butter taffy. You cracked on counters and broke into pieces and chewed slowly while defending its honor against people who preferred vanilla, and proved that peanut butter belonged in taffy form, and that smacking candy was half the fun, and that some flavors were worth fighting for even decades later. Candy necklaces became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted jewelry they could wear and then eat one bead at a time. Kids paid 5 cents for one necklace. The store owner handed them a long elastic string threaded with colorful candy beads: pink, purple, yellow, green, orange. Kids pulled the necklace over their heads. They wore it around their necks. The beads hung down. They looked like jewelry. Kids felt fancy. They wore candy necklaces to school. They wore them to the playground. They wore them around the house. Other kids noticed. I like your necklace. Thanks. It's candy. Can I have one? You have to buy your own. Candy necklaces were status symbols, wearable candy, fashion and food combined. Kids loved the combination. Eventually, kids got hungry. They pulled the necklace up to their mouths. They bit off one bead. They chewed. The candy bead was hard and sweet. Pure sugar pressed into bead shape, fruit-flavored. Kids chewed slowly. The bead dissolved. They swallowed. They bit off another bead. And another. The necklace got shorter. Gradually, kids ate the entire necklace. By the end of the day, no beads remained, just the elastic string. Candy necklaces are still available today. Gas stations carry them, dollar stores carry them, specialty candy stores carry them. The design hasn't changed. Still elastic string, still colorful beads, still pure sugar. Adults buy them for nostalgia. They put them on, they wear them. They bite off beads. They're kids again, wearing edible jewelry. Life is simple again. Adults remember candy necklaces as wearable candy. 5 cents bought elastic string threaded with sugar beads you wore around your neck and ate one bead at a time throughout the day that combined fashion and food and taught kids that candy could be more than just candy. It could be jewelry and entertainment, and a way to make an ordinary day feel special just by wearing something sweet around your neck. Rock candy became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted large crystallized sugar on a wooden stick that looked like science and tasted like pure sweetness. Kids paid 5 or 10 cents depending on the size. The store owner handed them a stick covered in large sugar crystals. Clear, white, sometimes colored, blue, pink, yellow. The crystals sparkled. They looked like gems, like rocks. Hence the name, rock candy. Rock candy was old candy, ancient candy. People made rock candy for centuries. Kids knew it was old-fashioned, but they didn't care. Old-fashioned didn't mean bad. It meant traditional, classic, timeless. Rock candy survived because it was good. Simple sugar on a stick, no tricks, no gimmicks, just crystallized sweetness that lasted and satisfied. Kids appreciated honesty. Rock candy was honest. Some kids made rock candy at home. Science projects. Dissolve sugar in hot water. Suspend a string in the solution. Wait several days. Crystals formed on the string. Kids watched. They documented the process. They wrote reports. They ate the results. Rock candy appeared at fancy candy stores, in glass jars, large sticks, multiple colors. Adults bought them. They gave them to children. Kids took the stick. They licked the crystals. They liked it. It's good. Adults smiled. Adults remember rock candy as the crystallized sugar stick, and represented the timeless simplicity of candy that didn't need to be complicated or trendy or modern, because sugar crystallized on a stick was perfect exactly as it was. Satellite wafers became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted flying, saucer-shaped wafers filled with tiny candy beads that rattled when shaken. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents for one wafer. The store owner handed them a disc wrapped in clear cellophane. The wafer was shaped like a flying saucer, flat, round. 2 thin wafer halves pressed together at the edges, sealed perfectly. Kids unwrapped it carefully. They held the delicate wafer in their hands. They examined it. The wafer was fragile, thin as paper. Kids shook it gently near their ears. They heard tiny beads rattling inside. They smiled. Anticipation built. They bit into the edge carefully. The wafer cracked. Tiny, colorful candy beads spilled out. Pink, yellow, orange, blue, green. Kids caught them in their cupped hands. They poured the beads into their mouths. The beads were hard and tiny. Kids crunched them with their teeth. The beads dissolved quickly, sweet, fruity, simple flavor. After eating the beads, kids ate the wafer shell. The wafer tasted like nothing, bland, like edible paper. Because it was edible paper. Rice paper? Kids ate it anyway. Nothing was wasted. Satellite wafers were called flying saucers in some regions. Same candy, different name. Kids in different states called them different things. But everyone knew what they were. UFO-shaped wafers with candy inside. The space age influenced candy. The 1950s and 60s were obsessed with space. Rockets, satellites, UFOs. Candy reflected culture. Kids ate space-themed candy. They felt modern. They felt like astronauts. They imagined flying to the moon while eating flying saucer candy. Kids bought satellite wafers for the experience. The shape was fun. The rattling sound was fun. The surprise of how many beads were inside was fun. Kids made games. They shook the wafer. They guessed. I think there are 10 beads inside. They opened it. They counted. 8 beads. Close. Sometimes they guessed right. Sometimes they were way off. Guessing games turned candy into entertainment. Satellite wafers provided more than sugar. They provided activity. The rice paper shell fascinated kids. Edible paper. Kids couldn't believe it. You can eat paper? Adults explained. It's rice paper. It's food. Kids learned something. Science lessons happened through candy. Kids didn't realize they were being educated. They just knew the shell was technically paper, but you could eat it. Strange. Cool. Weird. All at once. Satellite wafers are still available today. Same flying saucer shape. Same rice paper shell. Same tiny candy beads. Specialty stores carry them. Online shops sell them. Adults buy them for nostalgia. They shake the wafer. They hear the beads rattle. Memories flood back. Childhood returns. Adults remember satellite wafers as the UFO candy. 1 or 2 cents bought a flying saucer wafer filled with tiny, rattling beads that made you guess how many were inside and taught you that paper could be food and that candy could look like spaceships and that the 1950s and 60s really did believe the future was in space and brought that future down to Earth in the form of 2 cents worth of rice paper and sugar beads. Cracker Jack became the snack kids bought when they wanted caramel-coated popcorn and peanuts with a prize hidden inside every single box. Kids paid 5 or 10 cents, depending on box size. The store owner handed them the iconic red, white, and blue box with the sailor boy and his dog, Bingo, printed on the front. Kids recognized the box immediately. Everyone knew Cracker Jack. Everyone loved Cracker Jack. Kids shook the box. They heard popcorn rattle. They felt the weight, substantial, heavy, full, worth the money. Kids tore open the top. They reached inside. They grabbed handfuls of sticky caramel-coated popcorn. They shoved it into their mouths. Sweet, crunchy, sticky, caramel-coated every piece. Peanuts appeared occasionally. Salty crunch. Perfect contrast to sweet popcorn. Kids ate quickly. They chewed fast. They dug through the box. They searched for the prize. Where was it? Every Cracker Jack box promised a prize. The box said so. A prize in every box. Kids believed it. They dug deeper. Usually the prize hid at the bottom. Kids found it. A small wrapped package. They pulled it out. They set it aside. They finished the popcorn first. Then they unwrapped the prize. The prize was the main attraction. Kids bought Cracker Jack as much for the prize as for the popcorn. The prize varied. Sometimes a temporary tattoo, sometimes a plastic ring, sometimes a miniature game, sometimes a sticker, sometimes a small toy. Quality varied. Some prizes were amazing. Kids treasured them. They kept them for years. Other prizes were disappointing, cheap, boring. Kids threw them away. But the anticipation never died. Every box held possibility. Maybe this box would have the best prize ever. Hope lived eternal. Cracker Jack appeared at baseball games. Vendors walked through stadium stands shouting, "Cracker Jack! Get your Cracker Jack here!" Kids begged parents. "Can I have Cracker Jack?" Parents usually said yes. Baseball and Cracker Jack belonged together. The famous song, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," mentioned it. "Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back." The snack became synonymous with baseball. American pastime, American snack. Perfect pairing. Cracker Jack prizes changed over the decades. Early prizes were high quality. Metal toys, miniature books, whistles, magnifying glasses, real prizes. Later prizes declined. Cheaper, plastic, paper, eventually digital, QR codes instead of toys. Adults hated that. That's not a real prize. Kids today scan codes with phones. Digital games replace physical toys. Progress ruins nostalgia. Adults remember Cracker Jack as the baseball snack with prizes. 5 or 10 cents bought caramel popcorn, peanuts, and treasure at the bottom that made every box an adventure and every baseball game taste sweeter, and proved that candy plus toy equaled childhood perfection that modern QR codes will never replicate, no matter how many times companies try to call digital prizes equivalent to the real tangible toys kids could hold in their hands. Jujubes became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted chewy, fruit-flavored gummy candy that stuck to teeth harder than any other candy ever created. Kids paid 5 cents for one small box. The store owner handed them a yellow box with Jujubes printed in red letters. Kids opened the flap. They poured the candies into their palms. Assorted colors tumbled out: cherry red, lemon yellow, lime green, orange, licorice black. 5 flavors, 5 colors. Kids examined them. They chose one. They popped it into their mouths. They bit down. Immediately, they realized their mistake. Jujubes were hard, incredibly hard. Kids' jaws strained. They chewed with effort. The Jujube didn't want to be chewed. It resisted. It fought back. Kids chewed harder. Their jaw muscles worked over time. The candy slowly yielded, but it stuck. It glued itself to molars. It cemented to teeth. Kids tried to unstick it with their tongues. Nearly impossible. Jujubes held on. Determination defined Jujubes. Once attached, they stayed attached. Kids kept chewing. Eventually, the candy dissolved, but it required serious effort. 5 to 10 minutes of dedicated chewing per piece. Jujubes were movie theater candy. Perfect for movies. One box lasted the entire film. Kids couldn't eat Jujubes quickly, even if they tried. The candy forced slow consumption. Kids bought a box before the movie started. They ate throughout. Opening credits, first act, second act, climax, resolution, credits. 1 Jujube per scene. Perfect pacing. By the time the movie ended, the box was empty. Jujubes timed the movie experience. Slow candy for long entertainment. Dentists hated Jujubes. They pulled fillings out. They damaged dental work. Dentists warned patients. Stop eating Jujubes. Kids ignored warnings. They ate them anyway. Risk was part of the appeal. Danger candy. Eating Jujubes was like extreme sports for your teeth. Sometimes fillings did come loose. Kids went to the dentist. The dentist asked questions. What happened? Kids played innocent. They knew exactly what happened. Jujubes happened, but they didn't confess. Plausible deniability. Jujubes were worth the dental risk. Temporary tooth damage for permanent candy memories. Kids made the calculation. Candy won every time. Jujubes are still sold today. Same yellow box, same 5 colors, same 5 flavors, same teeth-destroying chewiness. Movie theaters still stock them. Candy stores still carry them. Adults buy them for nostalgia. They open a box. They pop one in their mouths. They bite down. Their jaws remember immediately. Oh no, what did I do? But they keep chewing. Nostalgia requires commitment. They finish the box. Their teeth survive. Barely. Their dentist asks questions at the next appointment. Adults play innocent. Some things never change. Adults remember Jujubes as the toughest candy. On 5 cents, bought a small box of fruit-flavored cement that glued to teeth and required jaw strength and dental courage, and lasted through entire movies and taught kids that pleasure sometimes required suffering, and that the harder you worked for something, the more satisfying it felt when you finally swallowed that last stubborn piece that refused to dissolve for 10 full minutes. Teaberry Gum became the penny candy kids bought when they wanted pink gum with unique wintergreen teaberry flavor that tasted different from every other gum in the world. Kids paid 1 cent per stick. The store owner handed them a stick wrapped in distinctive pink paper with teaberry printed in simple letters. Kids recognized the wrapper immediately. Pink, iconic, unmistakable. Kids unwrapped the stick. They folded it into their mouths, and they chewed. The flavor hit immediately. Wintergreen, but not exactly. Teaberry flavor, slightly minty, slightly sweet, slightly floral, slightly mysterious. Hard to describe, impossible to compare. Teaberry tasted like teaberry, nothing else. Kids either loved it or found it too strange. No middle ground existed. Teaberry was polarizing. Devotees loved it exclusively. They refused other gums. Spearmint? No. Peppermint? No. Double mint? Absolutely not. Teaberry or nothing. Loyalty ran deep. Teaberry Gum was made by Clark Company, same company that made Clark bars. Clark specialized in old-fashioned candy. Teaberry had existed since 1900. By the 1950s and 60s it was established. Grandparents chewed it. Parents chewed it. Kids discovered it. 3 generations united by pink wintergreen gum. The flavor was traditional, not trendy, not modern. I'm not trying to be cool. Teaberry just existed, confident, timeless, unapologetic. Take it or leave it. Most people left it, but those who took it never let go. Teaberry Gum had a dance, the Teaberry Shuffle. A commercial jingle became cultural phenomenon. Kids saw the commercials, catchy music, happy people shuffling, chewing teaberry, shuffling more. Final item. Candy buttons on paper strips became the final penny candy in this collection of 60 treats that kids bought when they wanted tiny dots of candy stuck to long strips of paper they peeled off slowly. Kids paid 1 or 2 cents for one strip. The store owner handed them a sheet of white paper covered with rows of colorful candy dots. Pink, yellow, blue, green, orange. 3 flavors, cherry, lemon, lime. The dots were arranged in neat rows. Kids held the strip carefully. They started at the top. They peeled off the first candy button. They popped it into their mouths. The candy was sweet and fruity, soft. It dissolved quickly on the tongue. But inevitably paper came with it. Kids chewed candy and paper together. The paper wasn't supposed to be eaten, but it was impossible to separate candy from paper perfectly. Kids accepted it. Paper became part of the experience. They chewed, they swallowed, they moved to the next button, they peeled, they ate, they repeated. One strip had dozens of candy dots. Eating all of them required patience and dedication. Kids sat on front porches working through entire strips. 1 dot at a time, slowly, methodically, peacefully. Candy buttons represented the simplicity of penny candy. No fancy packaging, no complicated flavors, no prizes, no gimmicks, just candy dots on paper. Pure, simple, honest. Kids appreciated that even if they couldn't articulate it. Candy buttons didn't pretend to be something they weren't. They were dots. On paper. Sweet. That was enough. Sometimes enough was perfect. These 60 penny candies and snacks defined American childhoods from the 1950s through the 1970s. They cost pennies. They created priceless memories. Kids walked to corner stores clutching change. They pointed at jars. They made choices. 1 penny meant 1 decision. Choose carefully. Kids selected Tootsie Rolls, Bazooka Gum, Sugar Daddy, Atomic Fireballs, Mary Jane's. Each candy told a story. Each wrapper held history. Kids unwrapped. They tasted. They shared. They traded. They collected. Candy wasn't just candy. Candy was currency. Candy was friendship. Candy was childhood itself, crystallized into sugar and memories wrapped in colorful paper that fit perfectly in small hands and pockets. These 60 treats connected generations. Grandparents remembered them, parents remembered them, kids discovered them. Some candies still exist. Same recipes, same flavors, same wrappers. Others disappeared, but memories remained. Adults search online. They find specialty stores. They order boxes. They unwrap familiar wrappers. They taste familiar flavors. Time collapses. They're 7 years old again, standing at the candy counter, choosing, unwrapping, tasting happiness that cost 1 cent. Penny candy proved happiness didn't require wealth, just pennies, just sugar, just the simple joy of choosing something sweet and making it yours. That lesson lasted forever. Long after candy was eaten, long after wrappers were discarded, the truth remained. Happiness was affordable. Childhood was sweet. Memory was priceless. These 60-penny candies preserved all three forever. Outro. These 60 forgotten penny candies and snacks defined an entire generation of American childhoods. Tootsie Rolls for 1 cent, Bazooka Gum with comic strips, Sugar Daddy that lasted for hours, wax lips that made everyone laugh, atomic fireballs that burned like fire, pop rocks that exploded in your mouth. Every single piece cost pennies. Every single piece created memories that lasted lifetimes. Candy was childhood itself, wrapped in cellophane and wax paper. These candies taught valuable lessons. Patience with Jawbreakers that lasted all day. Courage with atomic fireballs that tested your limits.